Welcome to Cody in the Cinema. Today I'm discussing 5 French films, that you should have in your Criterion Collection as soon as you're able. The first of these recommendations is a relatively recent addition to the collection that I really enjoyed off of Blind Buy, and I've only seen it once, but I look forward to seeing it again. La Cérémonie. This is also on Roger Ebert's great film list. And this story, I think a lot of folks are going to identify with. Basically, a maid is working for a rich family, and she meets someone at the post office who helps her rebel against those people. And they have something of a very close friendship. You might even say that it becomes something more than platonic. And the whole film is a slow build-up in the tension that happens in that household. It's a fabulous piece of work that I look forward to checking out more later. The actual inside is really good too. You have a nice little booklet here that comes with it. Man, the coloring on these pages is absolutely beautiful. Look at that. Just gorgeous. A whole essay and so forth in there. And the ending of this film is one of the most memorable of any film I've seen. I think you're going to really enjoy it if you're into those kind of films. But definitely one I want to study up a little bit more on. Love the cover, by the way. Really does the film justice once you see it. Now, one that probably maybe one of my favorite directors, top 10 director for me, and maybe among his greatest films, if not his greatest, Robert Bresson's Mouchette. This film is an absolute bleak masterpiece about a young girl who gets screwed over at every single juncture and turning point in her life. She has an alcoholic father, a dying mother. She runs into someone who's complete trouble, and there are some truly shocking and disturbing sequences that involve that. And it is just such a powerful, beautiful film, again, with a great ending. I love how dedicated Mouchette is to what it's doing because, you know, so many films really distill down the tragedy that can occur in many childhoods. A lot of people don't have very good childhoods, and this story is important to be told, even if it's depressing to watch. I think it's something that every fan should have in their collection. And again, a film I've seen once, but it will be a repeat for me many times. I love this director. If you haven't checked out any Bresson from the collection, you absolutely must do that. He has a number of good titles, but this is one of my favorites. All right, next up, I wanted to pull a Godard here, obviously, because Jean-Luc Godard is one of the great French filmmakers, and this time I picked Vivre, a film about a woman who just ends up kind of, I don't know if you want to call it falling into prostitution or how you want to explain it, but she does become a prostitute. It's a good character study, 83 minutes. There are some references, and I don't want to exactly explain how, but there's some references to another great film, The Passion of Joan of Arc, that make it even more compelling, especially her relationship to the cinema. Again, with another pretty good ending, I think. Another bleak film, but maybe not as bleak as Mouchette. It's a great film in its own right, and I really like this. I don't know. It's either this or Breathless for me. I'm pretty sold on both. I'm looking forward to his King Lear. I think that's coming out in the collection as well. But a film I highly recommend. I have not actually looked too much at the booklet on this one, but this is an expansive booklet that you get with this one. So if you're thinking about this for one of the sales, this looks great. I haven't read this booklet, but I believe I will. It looks like multiple essays and just, again, her watching films, just stunning cinematography in that one. All right, 2 more. The first French film I truly fell in love with, because I didn't used to be that much into French cinema. I had this personal grudge against it for no particular reason, and now I love French cinema. But the first French film I ever fell in love with is a relatively recent one that is just an absolutely beautiful film. It's one of the most beautiful films. In fact, it could be a most beautiful film by some rights. I think it belongs in the conversation with some of our prettiest films, maybe almost like a Barry Lyndon. I'm trying not to overhype it, but it's just the way I feel. This is called Portrait of a Lady on Fire. And this film is about a young lady who's getting ready to be, you know, it's 18th century. She's getting ready to be married to someone, and she needs a portrait, a nice formal portrait. And so this artist is sent to get her portrait. And what results is a very close relationship between these two ladies. Part of the film is figuring out, are they going to be strictly friends, or is there going to be something more there? Are they going to have a romantic relationship, or what's going to go on with that? It deals with plenty of issues related to women's rights, some absolutely stunning photography of the beach and the ocean, the paintings within the paintings. There's a scene where one character watches a performance. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen this. It might be like an opera, or I think it was a music performance, just something like that. And she just absolutely gives a terrific performance within watching that. Tremendous piece of cinema. I can't recommend it enough, and I really like the acting from the two main actors. Believable, and probably the most accessible if you've never watched a French film from these. Love it. And finally, I'm going to recommend a recent one to you that I did a whole video on. That's a little bit, this is a spicy one. The Mother and the Whore by Jean Eustache. This film is French New Wave. The main character, this guy here. He's also the same actor. He was the child actor in another great French film that I've talked about before on the channel, The 400 Blows. And this movie's kind of long. It might, it's 218 minutes. And it might seem like, oh gosh, that sounds really boring, considering that the whole film is basically just a look into Parisian society and the life between these three characters who are in something of a complicated love triangle. But even at 218 minutes, it's constantly fascinating. This main character, he can be smart at times, but usually he's just getting humored by two women who, quite frankly, are better than him in life. And a lot of people really like Veronica, the liberated young woman that that's what the back of the film calls her, young woman that he runs into, and they think it's her story. Actually, my favorite character in this is Marie, the actual mother character. I think that's the most interesting part of the film from my perspective, how she continues throughout this to be something of a lover, something of a roommate, something of a mother, and I like that dynamic in the relationship. There's some good black comedy in here, an absolute must-see, and I know for a long time this was inaccessible to many audiences, but I think those of you that collect these longer Criterions and really enjoy them, these character studies, are going to like this. So you should definitely pick it up. Again, those are 5 films in the collection I absolutely think you should have, especially if you're a fan of French cinema. That's just 5 I pulled off the shelf. What are some that you like? Obviously, I left off some big names here, so I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you did find this content to be helpful or enjoy it or just like to listen to talk about movies, if you could do me a favor and click that like button. The like button does grow the channel. And then consider subscribing if you haven't. I cover lots of different topics on here. I covered a few Westerns, I do that all the time. And then today I'm covering Criterion French films. So I like to try to have a good mix for you there. And we'll see you next time on Cody in the Cinema.